Hey guys, what's up? Sandu here. So today I'll be testing the most affordable planar magnetic headphones that I know, which are called Hifiman HE400i 2020 edition. So these go for $169, so definitely a very affordable planar headphone. Full disclosure first, I received these ones directly from Hifiman, but you have my word that this will be an unbiased and honest review that will be backed up by some measurements later on. So let's check how they sound. In terms of build quality, this is their second headphone that uses a new headband design reminding of the older headphones. The newer grille is nice looking too. I like their open look, as you can clearly see their planar drivers if light shines through it. I like the bigger ear caps compared to Sundara, for example, and I absolutely adore the newest earpads, which are softer, plushier and more comfortable long term. As a matter of fact, HE400 has deeper earpads with more cushioning compared to even Aria or Susvara, for example, which is quite amazing to have at such an affordable price. The yokes that are holding the ear caps, its grills, and the rods that are adjusting the head position are all made out of metal. There is quite a lot of metal in here and little to no plastic, if being completely honest with you. Only its caps are made out of hard plastics and everything else is eco leather and metal. The only thing I dislike is that they don't swivel that much. I'd say about 15 degrees to the left and to the right. As for its technology, Hifiman is describing them as easy to drive, full-size planar magnetic headphones. Seeing the cable terminated with a 3.5mm jack, it is clear that they want you to drive them with pretty much anything that has a headphone jack. They do have a pretty high sensitivity of 93 dB per 1 mW of power and a low impedance of just 35 ohms. Nonetheless, they still need quite some power compared to a portable over-ear headphone like a Sennheiser Momentum line or Meze 99 line. The best part is that the same original drivers of HE400i that were released a few years ago were used in here too. The lower price point was achieved by using a single array of magnets instead of a push-pull configuration of their pricier models. A smaller number of magnets will directly impact the weight of the headphone and its sensitivity, so HE400 are both lightweight and easy to drive by planar standards. It is actually by about 30% lighter compared to its predecessor, since it uses a lighter frame and headband. As for its sound performance, even from the first minutes it was clear to me that I'm having a pair of Hifiman headphones on my head. It is quite difficult putting a finger on what exactly makes them different sounding compared to the others, but there is definitely something going on. HE400i are technical sounding headphones above anything else. This is the first word that is coming into mind. So they sound almost robotic to some degree, so everything is just perfectly aligned. You hear that clean bass performance, that technical mid-range. Treble notes are playing in a completely different spot, completely separated from the rest. There is quite a lot of air between the notes, so Soundstage capabilities are actually very good with these ones. The layering also is pretty special, so it's pretty 3D sounding somehow. Pinpoint location of all the notes is also very precise, very accurate. There is plenty of information, also micro details to be heard with these ones. They actually can put to shame even kilobuck headphones, no problemo. On the flip side, there isn't that warmth, that mid-range density that you can hear with Meze, with Odyssey or Kennerton planars. Tonal balance is actually holding pretty nicely with lots of details in the treble, but sometimes it can sound just a little bit harsh and brittle in the treble with very linear and honest sounding setups like I am having. But feed them sweeter Class A power and all that harshness, all that brightness will be completely forgotten. Exactly as it happened with Flux Lab Acoustics FA10 and also with Borson Conductor 3X performance. Sincerely, there is very little to complain about in this one, so detail retrieval will put to shame even much costlier headphones, and the same can be said about its soundstage and imaging. The only thing that will not outperform said headphones is actually the mid-range section that is simply less impressive. I want to briefly touch the subject of their sensitivity and how much power is actually needed to unlock their maximum potential. So I don't know how Hifiman is actually doing it, but all their planar headphones are slightly harder to drive compared to the rest of planar mafia, and I felt the same with this. So I will say it right away that HE400i can be hardly driven by portable sources as smartphones or laptops. Their Ananda headphones can be driven by pretty much anything, but HE400i together with Deva, with Arya, with Sundara, are simply something else. You will need at least a portable DAP that can provide a few hundred milliwatts of power if you want to unleash better dynamics, control, and simply a wider soundstage. I've tried them out of a smartphone and also of a laptop, and there wasn't simply enough volume. Even at maximum volume, I still wanted some more. Portable DAPs from Shanling and Fio worked much better with this, and finally I was able to hear some dynamics, some better slam and speed. But this worked, of course, much better from desktop power. So especially Flux Lab Acoustics FA10 and Benchmark HPA4 were simply awaking them from their deep sleep, so improving their bass performance to unrecognizable, speed and slam as well. They simply started sounding like some proper planar magnetic headphones. So if you are on a quest to find the most affordable headphone setup to work with this really nicely, I strongly recommend you the Topping L30 and A30 stack. That will cost you around 270 bucks if you buy them together from Apos Audio. I will put a link below. As I have explained in multiple headphone reviews of mine, transient response can be defined as a sum of two things. So first of all, you have the speed of sound, and secondly you have the amount of air that is being delivered in an instant, also known as slam or kick into eardrums. For example, Odyssey headphones are more about the later part, so they will kick really hard, but they will not move as swiftly as Hifiman headphones are doing. Hifiman are more about the speed and about the fast decays of the notes, and less so about body hits or deep reaching bass notes. Even so, HE400i can easily outperform the transient response of much pricier headphones, Empyrean. I'm very much into fast music, so fast energetic music. It's actually part of me, and I can't deny that I really enjoy when speed and slam are really coming nicely together and are rendered perfectly. It's important to know that a decent digital source will provide all the speed that you can have. But for a better slam, you'll need a desktop headphone amplifier. And the biggest difference of using them with or without an amplifier lies exactly in here, in the transient response, as HE400i will be considerably livelier and more engaging out of one. Detail retrieval and transparency is another interesting part of these headphones, as I think they can easily outplay pricier models as Sennheiser HD6XX line of headphones or Meze 99 line and many others. Their transparency is actually on the same level with Olo S4X reference, which I reviewed not too long ago, and just by a hair below Kennerton Magni and Kennerton Gallarhorn headphones. So transparency and detail retrieval are actually not that far off from their Arya headphones, which are much more expensive, about 10 times more expensive, which comes as a huge compliment for these headphones. HE400i have a clean nature, and there is no doubt about that. So I don't think that I have ever heard a headphone that costs less than 200 bucks with so much air around all those notes and plenty of details even past 15 kHz. HE400i presents a natural and also a well-spread soundstage, so it isn't a super tall one how Hifiman Arya are sounding, nor super extended to a point of being fake sounding how Sennheiser HD800 are doing, but somewhere in the middle of these two. So HE400 actually don't have a layer of felt or foam between the drivers and the outer grille, so these are pretty much as open as you could possibly have. They actually don't sound very different at all compared to their Susvara headphones, which are much more expensive in terms of soundstage, of course. So there is simply plenty of air around all those notes, and no matter the song that is being played, they will never sound upfront, closed in, nothing like that. On the contrary, actually, they will push bigger amounts of air between each and every note. So I went through a series of multiple albums ranging from classical, jazz, blues, rock and so on, and HE400i were able to increase or decrease the stage size depending on the recording and also on the gear that I was using. As for the frequency response, I am still describing a planar headphone ride, so you can be certain that planar bass is in here too, so it's precise, it's clean, it goes pretty low but not too low, it's layered and it's very fast sounding. So you will not find that woolly, that slow and muddy type of bass in here, actually on the opposite camp with these ones. So I went through multiple electronica tracks and I felt that the sub bass is reaching the lowest octaves, but its intensity is just a little bit lowered, so to speak. Hifiman area and to a less degree Hifiman Deva have by a hair deeper and more linear type of bass. Mid bass is considerably better in this one and doesn't need any equalizer at all. So it's very much a linear type of bass, as you can easily hear it defined, impactful and very engaging. Quite possibly mid bass is actually the best part in the frequency response. It's simply perfect in here. Mid-range is fine by my standards, but the most interesting part is that it's neither too warm or full-bodied sounding nor too dry and uninteresting sounding. So it is very much a Hifiman headphone, if you know what I mean, as all the headphones are quite linear in here, so very technical, very precise, very clean, but just not too warm and smooth sounding. So you will not find Sennheiser HD6XX like voices in here or Odyssey lushness in here. Hifiman is quite possibly the only headphone brand that is not adding a little bit of weight and naturalness to its mid-range section. But don't panic yet, as I've tested these ones on the most linear and most colorless setup that I've ever heard. So Matrix Audio Element X and Benchmark HP4 are completely disappearing from the acoustic chain. But once I pair them with a warmer sounding source and amplifier like Flux Lab Acoustics FCN10, that will make them much more natural sounding, especially the mid-range is transforming quite a lot. All Hifiman headphones are very strong in the treble, and HE400i is no exception to that rule. So if you love detailed, precise, clean treble performance, then I'm happy to tell you that you will find more information in here, even compared to most planars. So our most sensitive part of our hearing is somewhere between 6 and 9 kHz area, and exactly in there treble starts rising a little bit with these headphones, offering a very defined and textured sound in this region. Bells and cymbal crashes have a somewhat crispy and metallic nature, exactly how they should sound. And since these are quite fast sounding, double drums will not pose a problem for this, even with the fastest and with the most demanding music. I personally like this kind of treble reproduction, and thanks to its gentle roll-off past upper treble, I can listen to my tunes without any awareness from my part. I also measured their performance using a mini DSP ear system, so I will briefly show you their raw frequency response, which shows a good driver matching. If you are curious how this will stack against Hifiman Deva and Aria headphones, here is a graph that will help you out. Their total harmonic distortion is much better compared to dynamic headphones, and it seems to have a very respectable distortion even down to the lowest octaves. Its spectral decay is showing that the diaphragm is moving at the right speed and nothing remains behind, and in all fairness, its decay is nothing short of spectacular looking, and it's considerably better compared to some pricier planars. Spectrogram and waterfall readings will show all the hot zones, and as I expected, the mid-bass, lower mid-range and upper treble is where all the magic is happening. Overall, HE400i has a very low total harmonic distortion, an extended frequency response and a super fast driver movement thanks to its instant decay. It was mandatory comparing these ones with the Hifiman Deva, in wired mode of course, and for that please check out my written review that I put below. It's on chapter 8 and it's one click away. Thank you. As for the conclusion, these are not sounding like entry-level headphones. They don't sound like mid-fi headphones either. They can easily be compared with much pricier offerings of any headphone manufacturers, as their detail retrieval, transparency and soundstage size is sincerely on a very high level. And I didn't expect that. Finally, they came when a very affordable planar magnetic headphone can be had for as little as $169 in USA or about 200 euros here in Europe. And at this price point, HE400i are simply outperforming everything when it comes to things like details, layering and stage size, and it's my pleasure to recommend them as a very good starting point. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. My full in-depth review is waiting on my website. In case you want to support this channel, please subscribe to it, and thank you for doing that. And as usual, listen to more music, be positive, and I'll see you next time. Cheers guys, bye bye.